It's, I think, very interesting to go back to 2008 and remember what happened in those days where so many institutions worldwide needed to be bailed out. This in spite of the fact that regulators had mandated the creation of a chief risk officer role, had supervised institutions to have an independent risk management function. So very quickly in the days after 2008, institutions got together from the financial supervisory side outside of formal government networks, almost like an emergency FDA trial. What happened here? What do we have to fix? What's the root cause? And they very quickly discovered that yes, the mandate for having risk officers was indeed in place. The mandate for having independent risk management functions was indeed in place. So then what? Why did the financial crisis happen? What was missed? And the very simple answer, there's a lot of complexity to it, but very simply, the independence went too far. The chief risk officer was situated within an institution too far from the CFO, so wasn't able to have a line of sight into emerging risk and to understand the very deep crisis that was about to happen. The modeling became too ivory tower and wasn't connected enough to the business and to the market. If you look at it today, regulators understood that they had mandated independent risk management functions, but these functions didn't operate as they should have, situated inside an institution to enable the chief risk officer and that function and the institution's board to be able to discern emerging risk and then manage that risk. So there was an adjustment. There was an understanding that there ought to be more connection to the CFO. There ought to be more connection to the board. So we have addressed, I think, a number of the financial issues, although not completely, and yet financial services institutions continue to have a very serious series of missteps, eroding confidence in the banking system as we sit here today. I would suggest that it could be very important for the supervisors to examine what the root cause is. What is it that is not situated correctly inside the institutions today that has allowed them to continue to be the subject of enforcement actions related to market manipulation, to LIBOR, to FX manipulation, to evading sanctions regulations globally. And in turn, each of these major missteps has resulted in a very significant financial fine. But perhaps most importantly, the institutions are themselves suffering tremendous reputational harm. And confidence and trust in the banking system is at an all-time low, which is itself a systemic issue. I think it's safe to say that the risks that we're seeing in the financial services sector aren't disappearing in the next 2 years, that it's going to be in the interest of boards of directors in particular to focus very directly on the role of risk management, the role of the legal officer, chief legal officer in the institution, and how the board itself gets its own information. I would advise that we look very carefully, including in the context of a new administration, at how the board of directors is structured. Do we have the right people? Are they equipped with the right skills and background and experience? I think if we took a look at boards of directors 20 years ago and how they are constructed and how they operate and how they are today, you wouldn't find much difference. So I would think that 2 years from now, maybe I'll call it a hope, that 2 years from now, boards of directors will have looked at their composition, that we will pay board members far more than we're paying them today to provide real oversight of emerging risk, that will equip them with staff so that they can research issues even outside of the normal bank channels, so they can be imaginative about the kinds of risks that are emerging, that we give the boards of directors a broader mandate to bring in people that are quite different in background so that they are properly skilled to be prepared for emerging risk.